President Trump's illegal immigration crackdown taking shape here at home and abroad. Right now, ICE agents are continuing their apprehension of criminal illegal aliens. Nearly 1,000 were taken into custody on Sunday when ICE officials were in Chicago. Now, a Homeland Security official is telling Fox News that New York City is, quote, the next target. The president also overcame the first major pushback against his mass deportation policy from Colombia, all in the first week of his new administration. Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Emily Campagno here with my co-hosts, Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany. And also joining us today, Lisa Booth, Fox News contributor, and Jason Chaffetz, Fox News contributor and former Utah congressman. Now, the president's mass deportation policy appeared to spark a trade war with Colombia yesterday, only for them to quickly cave after initially rejecting 2 flights of illegal immigrants. President Trump's threats included a travel ban, immediate visa revocations, and ordering 25% tariffs on all goods coming into the U.S. from Colombia. Now, that would jump to 50% after 1 week if they did not comply. So they did. Colombian officials put out this statement, quote, Colombia, under the direction of President Gustavo Petro, has the presidential plane ready to facilitate the return of the compatriots who were to arrive in the country today in the morning on deportation flights. Meanwhile, the first of 1,500 U.S. Marines and U.S. Army personnel began arriving at our southern border. Their mission? Make good on President Trump's campaign promise to bring back his effective Remain in Mexico policy. The Coast Guard getting involved, too, intercepting a boat carrying illegal migrants that was sinking in U.S. waters. The Coast Guard's alien expulsion flight operations span between California and Texas, and it's all part of the president's illegal immigration crackdown that border czar Tom Homan says is only getting started.
So is this what we will see every single day, ending in what the president has promised is millions and millions being deported?
Yes, but you're going to see the numbers steadily increase, the number of arrests nationwide as we open up the aperture.
The estimates of perhaps those who have been convicted or arrested in the past, 700,000 to over 1 million. So after you do that, then you go after everybody who is there illegally.
If you're in the country illegally, you're on the table, because it's not okay to, violate laws of this country. You got to remember, every time you enter this country illegally, you violated a crime under Title 8, United States Code 1325. It's a crime. So if you're in the country illegally, you got a problem. And that's why I'm hoping those who are in the country illegally who have not been ordered removed by the federal judge should leave.
And Vice President J.D. Vance also defended the president's executive order revoking birthright citizenship.
Well, this is a country founded by immigrants.
Well, this is a country founded by... This is a very unique country, and it was founded by some immigrants and some settlers. But just because we were founded by immigrants doesn't mean that 240 years later that we have to have the dumbest immigration policy in the world. No country says that temporary visitors, their children, will be given complete access to the benefits and blessings of American citizenship. America should actually look out for the interests of our citizens first. And that means, again, if you're here permanently and lawfully, your kid becomes an American citizen. If you're not here permanently, if you're not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States and don't plan to be, why would we make those people's children American citizens permanently?
Jason Chaffetz, so much to unpack here, and I saw you reacting off camera to a lot of what we just saw. Tell us your thoughts.
Woo, I love it. This is America first. This is exactly what America voted for.
USA.
I had a chance to visit with the president after he was elected, but before he was sworn in. And I just thanked him. And I said, Mr. President, thank you for the clarity. That's what the world needs. The world needs clarity. And Tom Homan and Vice President Vance and Donald Trump are leading that clarity. If you're here illegally, you're going to have to provide that restitution and go home. And if we need to detain you, arrest you, and deport you, we're going to do that. And Colombia, you know what? They were used to Obama, Biden, and Harris. They could roll over the United States all day, every day, and nobody would say a peep to them. Those days are over. It's America first. We are the world's economic and military superpower. You're not going to push us around. We're going to use every tool that we have. You want to come to this country and be a legal migrant? More power to you. We'll help you get here. but you can't come here illegally. And if you're committing crimes and you're raping people, I'm tired of these people, these politicians making an excuse. Oh, what about these rapists? Because, you know, what about flowers? What about the cost of coffee? I mean, these are things that they're really worried about instead of the safety and security of Americans. It's America first, and I love it. And it was 1 week ago, like to the minute, that Donald Trump was sworn in. It's true.
So, Kayleigh, talk to me about, through the lens of having worked for number 45, right, during the prior administration, talk to me specifically about this relationship with Colombia. Jason portends, you know, these countries are going to fall in line. They're used to maybe dealing with a different kind of president. Here they have a commander-in-chief that has prioritized American interests. What do you foresee happening from additional Central American countries?
Yeah, we're simpatico, because that's exactly where my mind is at, Emily. There is this Twitter feed. It's called Cynical Publius. And he laid out just methodically how things traditionally work. It's so good that the vice president just sent it out. He lays out the traditional approach in dealing with, let's say, Colombia when they won't take a migrant flight. You get a task force together. It's the Department of Defense, it's ICE, it's the Secretary of State, the State Department. That task force comes up with a position paper. That position paper is then rejected by the Secretary of State in the name of equity. Days later, the president is briefed on it. And by the way, the details are leaked to the Washington Post along the way. And then in the end, we get a worse deal with Colombia, and they take fewer migrants than what we intended, and this all happens in about a month's time. Wait. Then Trump comes on board, and then we get the art of the deal. And while he is playing golf on various holes, he is threatening Colombia with tariffs and not backing down. And by the end of his golf game, in just about an hour, the Colombian president backs down, agrees to accept all migrants. It's called the art of the deal. And what does he do in solving this in an hour's time rather than a month's time? He sends a message to the EU. I will give you tariffs. They're coming your way unless you take our agricultural products. To Mexico, to Canada, tariffs coming your way February 1st, unless, hey, you rectify your trade imbalance. Message to Putin, I've threatened tariffs against you because Putin, if you don't get a deal, you're next. And message to Denmark, give us Greenland or you're under the threat of tariffs too. Every country in the world is shaking in their boots because they know that man means business. It's the art of the deal. Gone with the deep state and traditional Washington.
So talk to me, Lisa, about what's happening internally with this, right? So we have the benefit of a congressman on the couch. There's a lot of politicians who are extending an olive branch and seeing the forest for the trees, and that there is sort of a global whipping coming to fruition, meaning that as used on the floor, those that are coming on board. And the reality is that when you prioritize American interests, how can a politician not be on board?
Well, I mean, this is also the first Republican to get the popular vote in 20 years. This is someone who has the American people behind him. This is someone where, even according to the New York Times, 55% of Americans want to deport all illegal aliens. So he's got a lot of juice right now entering this next term of his presidency. I love that he shared a photo on True Social, an AI photo of F around and find out. That's the new mantra of the next 4 years. Gone are the days, as we pointed out, of saying don't and then everyone does. When he says don't, you don't, right? And he gets knocked a lot for his use of tariffs, but you look how smartly, how intelligent he was to use this and how effective it is of making these threats. Part of the challenge in these deportations is getting some of these countries to accept criminals, rapists, pedophiles. They're not going to want to accept these people. So you have to have tariffs and some of these leverage points to get them to accept it, because we know there's been reports of countries like Venezuela emptying their prisons and sending violent offenders here to the United States. So we've got to have leverage points to get these people to take back, these bad people. So good for President Trump being smart and utilizing tariffs and getting people, F around, you find out, right?
And I have to say, Harris, that a lot of the pushback seems to be sort of singular in concept that, frankly, reduces our allies and neighbors to sort of one thing. Coffee from Colombia. We actually make our own coffee here too, in Kona, in Hawaii, right? There's multiple things coming out of our neighbors' countries that aren't sort of reducible to one thing. But I think that's part of what the media has been articulating this entire time, arguing that the GOP reduces humans to an identity, but really it's them shoving these countries into boxes. President Trump sees them as partners.
Yeah, what's interesting is Trump's trying to bring about a world where he'll drop the rate for companies that actually come here and make some of that stuff to 15%. tax rate. So we might not have to miss coffee or whatever they think they're going to miss that we can clearly make our own, but maybe not as much of, because maybe some of those countries will come here and they'll package their stuff or distribute it from here. He's trying to make that happen. Look, I want to know who Colombia's Gustavo Petro called. Who did he call? Because somebody had to say, yeah, I'm sure he called a friend. Which friend did he call among those who are also one of the 160 countries that have people here illegally who are committing violent crimes? Like, is there a group of them? Because I'm guessing that there might be. And if that's the case, everybody get your planes ready, your presidential planes ready, because we have some folk you need to take back. And, you know, here's the other thing. On the list, because we scrolled it last hour, it was so long, we needed to scroll it several times. He wants to begin reviewing the U.S., Mexico, Canada agreement. Yeah, that is a discussion about wider protection of borders and that whole thing. I mean, this goes beyond the deportations now. What are they going to do? And look, Trudeau in Canada can probably answer some questions about what he's capable of doing and what he means when he says, if you don't do what I say, you can be the 51st state, Canada. I mean, I think now we are in that group, as you say. If you know, you know what the F stands for. But we're also in a place where everybody around the world has to be talking to each other now. I happen to think that's a really good thing. I mean, they're talking about us in a way of strength now, not what can you get from the Biden administration if we promise we might help them a little.
That's right. And look, speaking from experience, resisting parking tickets, the whole point is it just gets more expensive.
Okay, that's hilarious.
I think that
strong, Emily.
That's hilarious.
No, you got to pay it, which Columbia learned. Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.